Peoples of the worldwide federated internet, what's good? With everything going on, you have a lot of voices out there. There's a lot of, I think, reasonable voices in news. And there's reasonable voices in different aspects of life right now. I want to try my best to be a reasonable voice amongst the body of Christ to the world. And I'm going to, or try to appeal reasoning and logic today. Today, I want to talk to and appeal to atheists if I can. Amongst some Christians, they consider all atheists to be unintelligent. Yes, atheists, believe it or not, there are believers who think that you're not intelligent, just as some atheists have the opinion that people who believe the Bible aren't intelligent. I don't believe either of those things are true. So I'm going to appeal to your logic, or try to. And I'm going to start by reading the book of Genesis, chapter 1. So I ask you to bear with me. Let's get to this. So Genesis 1 and verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. And the evening and the morning were the second day. And God said, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear," and it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas, and God saw that it was good. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth grass, and the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself, upon the earth." And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass, and the herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself, after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the third day. Let's go up some more. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven, to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days and years, and let them be for lights in the firmament of heaven, to give light upon the earth." And it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day. And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creatures that have life, and the fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. And God created great whales, and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly, and their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let the fowl multiply in the earth. And the evening and the morning were the fifth day. And God said, let the earth bring forth the living creatures after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and beast of the earth after his kind. And it was so. And God made the beast of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. And so God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. And God said, behold, I give you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is fruit of the tree yielding seed to you, it shall be for meat. And to every beast of the earth, and every fowl of the air, and everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat. And it was so. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the seventh day God ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all the work which he hath made. Now, why did I read over all of that? So this is like I said, my appeal to atheists. Atheists, contrary to what some Christians believe, are not dumb people, very intelligent people. Like I said, just as well as Christians, contrary to what atheists believe, are not dumb people, some very intelligent people. I'm not saying that every Christian is of high intelligence, nor am I saying that every atheist is of high intelligence. But to simply think that someone is unintelligent, that doesn't possess the ability to reason through things just because they hold a particular belief, I believe is untrue. So I want to dispel and get rid of all of those attacks from one side to the other before I try to appeal to your logic. So atheists, I get it. It's not necessarily the easiest thing to believe that you have a creator, but it is a logical thing, and I want to appeal to your logic. Most, not all, but most atheists hold and believe the evolutionary model. So let's appeal to your logic. Let's say I adhere to that evolutionary model. We all have to have faith, atheists included. And this, I implore you to think through. If you're an atheist, there comes some point even in your scientific understanding where you will ultimately get to some point, to something you do not understand, to which there is no adequate explanation for, and you just have to accept by faith. Can we at least acknowledge that, right? Even if, let's say you believe in the Big Bang. So there was this explosion, energy, material, matter. Okay, whatever. Where did that come from? Where did all of those materials that created the Big Bang come from? I've heard different explanations. I'm not going to proclaim that I'm some expert on evolution. I am not. But I've heard different explanations for how those things came to be. Ultimately, when you get to the root of those explanations, there comes a point where you have to just accept something by faith. There's a lot of brilliant scientists, and a lot of these brilliant scientists have came up with some theories, and they have used some formulas to try to get as close to explaining these theories as possible. But at some point, there comes some point where I call the point of faith, or the point of no return, to a point at which there's no explanation, to where your theory gets down to its basis level, where you just have to accept something by faith. Right? That's just the truth. That's not bias from me. That's just the truth. No matter what your belief, there comes some point where you get to that point. So this is my appeal to atheists. All right, let's go to the Big Bang. Like I said, how did that come about? If you believe that there was a Big Bang, let's say you don't believe there was a Big Bang. How did all of this come about? You see, what I want you to do is I want you to follow all of those questions back as far as you can. And as I said, you are going to get to some point where there is no way to explain how the base root of what you believe came about. So here's my appeal to you after reading through the book of Genesis. My appeal to you is, Christians, to some degree, not to some degree, we have the same point. There comes the moment of faith. The Bible says that he that comes to God must believe first that he is, and that he is a rewarder to them who diligently seek him. The Bible says without faith, it is impossible to please God. So at some point, there's going to be something that you just have to accept by faith. I believe in intelligent design. I believe this account in the book of Genesis, that God created the heavens and the earth. So I know the next thing atheists will ask, because I've talked to some atheists before, they will ask, well, where did God come from? My answer to you is an answer of faith, and I fully admit that. Moses, when he was going to free the children of Israel, he asked God a question. He said, "Who will I tell them sent me?" God simply answered, "I am." When they ask you, you tell them, "I am sent you. I am that I am." If you know English and you understand the poetics of that statement, that simply means that God is. He has no beginning and he has no ending. That's that for a believer. That is the what I call the moment of faith, the point of faith, the point at which you get back to the root, and it's like, God, I believe and I accept this by faith. So here's the thing that I challenge evolutionists. Let's just say you're an atheist and you believe in evolution, and that's how you explain how we came about. Even if let's say you're an atheist who believe in aliens, where did they come from? Like I said, there comes a moment in everyone's belief where you reach that wall, that moment of faith, where you just have to accept what you believe by faith. So here's my appeal for a creator of heaven and earth and intelligent design. For the atheist that would say, well, that's just too hard to believe. But I hopefully just showed adequately that even what you believe, there's a moment of faith. So if you believe in evolution, you believe that there was a big bang, there was an explosion, there was some materials that got hot or whatever happened. I don't know the scientific explanation for evolution. I can't get into the in detail, forgive me. I'm no super intellectual. But let's say you believe that. Okay. So out of that, the earth was formed. The earth happened to be in the exact perfect spot, the exact right distance from the sun to sustain life. The exact perfect, down to the millimeter, down to the centimeter, down to the atom, the perfect spot so that water could be created, so that there could be oxygen, a sustainable amount of oxygen to sustain life, that the trees were formed, the right materials came together to form every different living creature that we see on the planet. Now think about that. Think about all the insects, all the different sea animals, all of the different, trees and plants on the different land masses. This is a lot of stuff. That's a lot of happenstance. I don't have the numbers on me, but and forgive me. I wish I could remember where I got the numbers, but it was either from a book or a website where they had the number written out of the odds of all of these things coming out of a big bang. The odds are astronomical. For tell you a story, I had a friend of mine. He was an evangelist, and he was talking to a gentleman in a nursing home who happened to be an atheist. And he was trying to reach this man, and I don't know if this man ever got saved, but they had some conversations. Well, one day he goes in there with his son, and I don't know if you've ever seen one of those little wooden toys where you see there's like a wooden man, and you tilt the toy one way, and then the man kind of climbs down the wood, and you tilt it the other way, and he climbs down again. Pretty neat toy. So the older gentleman says, "Oh, that's neat. Where'd you get that from?" So my friend, as quick-witted as he was, I got to give him credit for this. He said, "Oh, we were in the woods. Strangest thing happened. There was an explosion, and it blew up some trees, and from that explosion, this came out." And the man was like, "Well, that's impossible. That's silly." And my friend said, just as silly as the complex design of the human immune system came out of an explosion and millions of years of evolution. And you know what? That might seem oversimplistic to you, and maybe you can believe that because, evolutionists hold to this millions of years theory, maybe you can believe that all of these things could come out of millions of years of evolution. But just think about those odds. Think about the complexity in your brain. Think about the complexity of humans, the complexity of the immune system, the complexity of how you think, your personality. These are really complex things. To come out of happenstance and explosion, that takes some faith. So that's my appeal to you, atheists. You have faith just like I have faith. Here's what I submit to you. Are you ready to rest your eternity on the faith that you have? Someone said this one time. I can't remember who the author was or where the quote came from exactly, but the author said, or wherever the quote came from, if I'm wrong about God, which I'm 100% sure I am not. Yes, I am 100% sure, and I've accepted this on faith. Yes, like I said, there comes a moment of faith or a wall whereby you have to accept this by faith, but I believe I'm 100% right. But for the atheist's sake, let's say that I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I live a good life. I live a relatively moral life where I do my due diligence to do good to other people, to keep God's commandments, to abide by what the Bible teaches. I've been good to people. People have been good to me. I've had many great experiences. I've had some tragedies, but I've had joy in those tragedies. And my life has been very full. And at the end of this life, I get to be with the Most High God, the creator of heaven and earth. If you're wrong, you've lived your life however you want. You've done whatever you want. You've had no supreme authority outside of earthly authorities. If you're wrong, you die and you begin your eternity separated from God. Now, again, this is my appeal. I'm not saying this is the greatest appeal, and I'm not saying my arguments are the greatest arguments, but I believe we are in a time right now where God is working. And I do believe people are thinking. I honestly believe there are some atheists out there that are probably beginning to think maybe there's something to this idea of a creator. If that's you and you're wondering, I pray that you would reach out to me or maybe someone else you know who is a believer. Let's have a conversation. Let's reason together. I don't want to argue with you. Let's reason together. Y'all know what it is. Stay frosty, people.